Welcome to the Lead Generation Podcast, where innovative entrepreneurs share their stories and secrets to success. It's time to take your digital marketing to the next level with your host, Bob Sparkins.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Lead Generation from Leadpages. If this is your first time listening, I encourage you to bookmark leadpages.com/podcast so you can check out previous interviews, get the show notes, and subscribe for email updates when new episodes are released. If you're enjoying our third season of the show so far, consider reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and any other platforms that you have access to so that other entrepreneurs just like you can discover these incredible stories and strategies that our guests are sharing. We really appreciate you helping us spread the word. This week, I'm excited to bring you a double episode with a longtime leader in online business. For the last 20 years, Fishkin has been making the world of marketing a better place. He's the co-founder of SparkToro, a tool that does the heavy lifting of market research so brands of all sizes can discover their customers' spheres of influence. This interview was packed with both personal and professional wisdom, so we split it up into 2 episodes for you. In part 1, we explore Rand's thoughts on issues that impact our human experience beyond the world of business. In part 2, we get into Rand's ideas for business growth strategies with big payoffs so you know where to focus your efforts and which channels may actually be cannibalizing your profits. Follow along with transcripts, show notes, and more at leadpages.com/podcast. Rand, it is truly a pleasure to have you on our episode of The Lead Generation today. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Bob.
Well, I'm really looking forward to a really fun conversation, talking about a lot of things around digital marketing, of course. But the first question I love to ask the guests of The Lead Generation is, how are the lives of the people you serve transformed by the work that you're doing, specifically with SparkToro?
Man, that's a big, heavy question, my friend. My God. Let's see. So I really hope that SparkToro is doing things from a number of perspectives. So at the very most tactical level, we have customers and free users who, by using SparkToro, get audience research data that probably they never would have gotten, or they would have paid a small fortune to do it manually, or have someone in-house or a contractor, build a manual crawler to go crawl all the social media profiles of everyone that they thought was a match for their audience, and then try and figure out what they post about and read and watch and listen to, and what hashtags they use and which accounts they follow. Very few people do that or did that, but SparkToro makes it really easy. You can do it for free or pay as little as $50 a month. I think then, kind of one level up, I'm really hoping that SparkToro opens the marketing universe's eyes to more breadth of where and how to do marketing. So for the last 15 years, I think a ton of marketing and advertising spend has been essentially, I can't really figure out where my customers are. I can't figure out where to reach my audience or how. I'm just going to throw all my money at Google and Facebook and let them sort out the targeting. And I really hope, even if you never use SparkToro, that you hear or see content from myself and Amanda and SparkToro's brand, or people in our orbit and universe who are helping to amplify the message of, you don't have to be exclusively reliant on the big duopoly. You can go do your own marketing. You can go do your own targeting and research. You can go find the podcasts that your audience listens to, and the webinars that they watch, and the YouTube channels they're subscribed to, and the social accounts that they follow, and the websites that they read. And you can be in those places, and you can get better results by doing that. And then third and finally, kind of at the entrepreneurial level, I think SparkToro is I'm certainly trying to break down the idea that venture capital is the only way to go, that these sort of rapid growth tech startups are the best or only thing that founders can do. So SparkToro has a very unique business model and a very unique structure, a very unique funding structure. If we're successful, and so far it's going well, but at a relatively small scale, I think if we have further success and get sort of a bigger brand footprint and presence in the tech universe, a lot of founders and entrepreneurs and journalists and media will point to SparkToro and say, oh, look at this really interesting thing that's an alternative to classic VC, to classic company building. Maybe other companies can do that. And we've actually open sourced our funding documents so anyone can use them. A few other startups have actually used our docs to fill in the blanks and raise money on their own terms. That would make me extremely proud and happy as a human being, right? To contribute in this broader way. I think you can feel that like a lot of my ethos around this is small, indie, doing things yourself can be a better way than sticking to the classic path of, monopolies and trying to build a monopoly in a space and taking venture dollars and just all that stuff.
I love it. I can also tell you're super passionate about this. And I can't wait to dig in more with your ideas around building a better mousetrap when it comes to marketing. And I think a lot of the members of the lead generation listening certainly will echo your sentiment that doing things in a way that is more fulfilling, not just profitably, but for the betterment of our humanity is actually a good way to go and can be even more successful. So looking forward to more about that. I do think that it might be cool to step back for a minute before we dig into those topics around market research and just get to know you a little bit better. I know that you've been in this space for a long time, but for some people, Rand Fishkin is a completely unknown entity. So I'd love to know, well, first of all, I just wanted to mention, I noticed a little bit of trivia that is going to be the origin of my next question, which is that you and I both, despite our appearances, happen to play football for our respective colleges, you at the University of Washington and me at Florida State. So I'm wondering about your role as team captain of your intramural football life. What kind of wisdom did you take from your time in the gridiron there? And just tell us a little bit about the story behind that.
Sure. What was it? I think my roommate at the time, this was maybe sophomore, junior year of college, convinced me to sign up for a flag football team. So flag football, touch only, right?
Yep.
Which thank God, because I am the furthest thing from someone who plays sports or has any physical instrument of any kind. Yeah, I don't even know. How did you discover this, Bob? I had no idea that this information was public anywhere, but that's incredible. Your research team must be, crack. Just A grade.
It was me, and you must have had a moment of weakness, had put it on your LinkedIn at the very, very bottom of your college experience.
Oh,
so that's where I found it.
Wild. Incredible. All right. Well, I'm going to have to go edit that later. I don't need that in my past. No. So let's see. We lost every game that we played. I became team captain by default when, after the first game, it was so embarrassing that the only really talented person on our team, who was also the team captain, left, never came back. And so I became team captain because nobody else wanted to do it. We barely had enough players to actually field a team. I think we just barely hit the minimum, which I want to say was 6 or 7 of us. Yeah. Like I said, we lost every game that we played. I got threatened to be beat up a couple of times by opposing team members. That was not fun. I don't recommend any of that. Not a great experience.
I can echo pretty much 98% of that. As the quarterback of the Florida State Landis Hall Big Sticks, it was also likewise not my cup of tea, and certainly made me understand I should stick into a lane that I can excel at a bit more, right?
No, I'm really, really glad that that was my only experience playing. I think it was only 5 games in total, because then, we didn't make it to the tournament thing. So blessedly short.
Awesome. Speaking of University of Washington, you also were close to a degree, decided to jump ship and do an entrepreneurial pursuit. I'm curious about what catalyzed that decision for you, because I know for some folks, they feel the pressure to go one way, and obviously you chose a different path, and I'm interested in unpacking that a little bit with you.
Yeah. So I was in a very lucky time frame. So this was just before college tuitions sort of skyrocketed to their current, completely unreasonable, abusive levels. And, the sort of student loan incentive problem, right? That I think we can mostly blame Newt Gingrich and a little bit Bill Clinton for, became, super painful. But I dropped out of school in 2001. I was still able to pay my tuition with a minimum wage job, part-time minimum wage job. So this was, in-state tuition, University of Washington State School, all that kind of stuff. But frankly, I mean, a bunch of reasons, but I think the biggest ones were I did not feel like the college experience was doing a whole lot for me. I was not really enjoying my classes. I didn't feel like I was learning as much as I did at my job, right? Sort of like building websites on the side for my mom's small business. Dropped out to do that full time. Plus, I think that probably the biggest thing was that I only had 2 more classes to go to graduate, but they weren't offered the next quarter. So I would have had to wait 3 quarters to graduate. Like one was offered 2 quarters in and one was offered 3 quarters away. I was like, nope, I'm not sticking around another 6 months to get this done.
That's amazing. And the rest is not quite history. Obviously, there's a lot of other steps along the way that we could get into. But another commonality I wanted to check in with you about is that we're both feminists, married to amazing entrepreneurial women. And I'm curious, what has been a key to success in your relationship with Geraldine, and anything of wisdom that you've learned with your time together?
Yeah, gosh. So we met in college, actually, on a bus coming back from a Weezer concert, which I think is the traditional Gen X way. And,
yes.
And we have been together, it'll be 21 years in December. So a long, long time, married for 14 years in September. So yeah, a long, long time. And yeah, we've had a phenomenal relationship. I mean, I credit that to a lot of empathy and growth on both our parts. I don't think we were like the right, perfect people for each other when we met when we were 22, but I think that over time we evolved into great partners for each other, and we still have a really phenomenal relationship that's very close. And gosh, I mean, I think that every relationship is different. It's hard to know a relationship that you're not in, but certainly, part of I think that frustratingly, most men have the wrong impression of what feminist means. The definition of feminism is seeking to achieve equality and balance between genders, right? That everyone is treated equally and deserves equal treatment. And that is certainly something that I believe in the core of my being, and that I work hard to do. So that's not in a performative way, but in a very pragmatic way inside my marriage, right? I think that I don't love gendered roles and the idea that there's certain work that is for men or certain work that is for women. And yeah, I just try and work really hard to fight against those stereotypes, right? So I believe that cooking and cleaning is as much my responsibility as my partner's. I believe that I can care just as much about interior design or skincare or being supportive during a menstrual cycle as, any woman could be. And that I try not to shy away from, topics and discussions that men usually aren't a part of. I try and learn a lot about women's bodies and health and the issues that affect gender inequality and what causes that, root causes of that. I try and be more feminine myself. I mean, I like to wear flowery shirts. I like to watch TV shows where women are the protagonist. I like to throw out all of the patriarchal history bullshit that pervades our society. I hate it. I'm not interested in it. Don't want to participate. I hope that this makes me a better feminist, but also a better partner.
All those things I would agree with wholeheartedly. My last personal question, and like I mentioned, I do want to dig into the business side of things, but you are an avid proponent of charities. We had the opportunity to have you come up to Victoria to join us with Leadpages and the other software companies of the Red Brick team. I'd love to know about the charity that you support. What's its mission? How can we just let other people know about the cause that you really love to support?
Yeah. So this is one of those interesting things, Bob, where I am I am a big proponent and supporter of Give Directly, which is the charity that that you folks made a very kind donation to when I came up to Victoria, which was awesome. But in general, broadly speaking, I would say I am still on the fence as to whether the concept of charity overall is the best use of sort of dollars and the best societal structure for distribution of services and sort of a social safety net. My general belief is that some charities probably should exist and are a good idea, and many are unfortunately filling gaps that should be filled by government and society, right? That people should be contributing more of their income toward a social safety net that precludes the need for a lot of the charitable giving and services that exist. And also that many wealthy individuals abuse charities as a way to launder their persona and their perception, and a way to make themselves appear to be good people and to get connections in society that they wouldn't otherwise get, and to hide income and manipulate tax structures. So I would say I'm a skeptical proponent of some charity, not a broad fan. But I like Give Directly a lot. They have very, very low overhead. It's an extremely efficient charity. What they do is they just give directly to individuals, to folks in need, dollars. And those people can do whatever they want with that money. If they wanted to engage in things that, a lot of listeners might think are, evil uses of money and bad, like, oh, well, couldn't they just go gamble with that money? Couldn't they go, buy lottery tickets or alcohol or cigarettes or whatever it is? The answer is yes, they could. The only thing Give Directly does is they research and watch the follow-up and then report on results. So they'll say, oh, okay, we distributed $5 million to these 5,000 people or 50,000 people, whatever it is. And here are the results in the neighborhood, town, region, county, state that we gave. And here's the use of those dollars were over the 12 weeks after we gave it. And you can see that the results are fairly extraordinary. I think they really bolster the case for a guaranteed basic income, which many people across the political spectrum are actually supportive of. If you're generally a right-leaning person, you like the idea of guaranteed basic income, often because it means that you don't need to set up government organizations. The private sector can essentially be the ones who benefit from the state's giving. And if you're on the left, you're generally supportive of it because it creates a social safety net that wouldn't otherwise exist. So maybe sometime in our lifetime, maybe sometime right after our lifetime, this will be an idea that gets embraced more. And I hope that Give Directly's work can actually impact that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love charities that are closer to the ground level of like helping people out. Donors Choose is one that I support a lot because of my history in the classroom. So good to hear more about Give Directly. It's great.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Lead Generation Podcast from Leadpages. Take a moment now to subscribe to the show so you don't miss a single episode. Then head over to leadpages.com/podcast for show notes, bonus resources, and more ways to elevate your business. Thanks for listening.